Hello friends, how are you doing today? So in this video, I'm bringing you a small project to improve the Google form. Okay, so let me show you what I'm doing here and what kind of problems we are trying to solve here. All right, so here is a problem. So let's say you have two forms or three forms. They have the same structure, or maybe they have different form structures. Okay, but for some reason you'd like to combine or merge the form responses together and put them into one single spreadsheet. Okay, so this script is designed to solve this kind of issue. Okay, so basically we're doing the automation here. So basically every form submission we catched. So basically if you got a form a submission from form A, we going to use a script to get the responses and save it to this the target sheet. Okay, to save the responses to this target sheet, and any forms we are watching them. Okay, so any form submission we save the result to this spreadsheet. Okay, so this is the problems we're trying to solve here. Okay, so let me give you a very quick demo. Let's go to the spreadsheet. Okay, here I have a demo here with two forms which were linked to this spreadsheet. As you can see here, there is no responses here right now, and I have another tab here called responses. Right now there is no data. Okay, so basically all the forms submitted from either form A or form B, we're going to merge the data here in the responses. Okay, so let's try to do a submission here from form A. Put my name here, city, country. Let's say test from form A. Let's try to do this submit. Okay, submit is done. And if you check the responses here, so basically this is the original response, and this is kind of a copy of the responses. And as you can see here, this is data from the form, and the most important column here is this source column. Okay, so as you can see here, this is the tab name, which is form A, so this is the source, right? And what if I do some kind of submission from form B? So let's give a name for Agnes, city for Orleans, country France, or test from form B. Let's try to do the submit. We should get the response here and here. So as you can see, this is so I'd like to say now the problem is solved. Okay, so we also have some maybe I can call it advanced features, like what if the form structure is different. Let's say maybe for my form B I may have a different column, so that means a different field. So let's try to edit this form and add a new field to my form. So let's see if the script can handle this kind of situation. So let's make a copy of this country. Let's make it gender. Let's make it drop down. Let's say male and female. Okay. All right. Mark it required. So right now, I just added a new field here. As you can see, a new gender field is added to form B, and if you check the responses, right now we don't have a column called gender. But if I right now try to submit a new response here, let's try to Pascal, Paris, France, gender of male, note, test from form B with gender added. Okay, let's try to submit. I should get the data, and as you can see here, I have the gender column generated automatically and put the data here. So that means if you so basically for the field or columns, they're sharing the same column name or field name, they will be merged. So as you can see here, for the data here, which is specific for the form B, we're going to get the data, but for the form A, we don't have the data. Okay, so basically this is kind of merge for different forms, right? And about the orders of these columns, so basically you can move the columns anywhere you like. Okay, so basically, so if I move the gender here, we should follow this order. So basically you can arrange the orders in your spreadsheet like this. So let's try to do another submission from form A to test our orders. So right now the order, as you can see, the timestamp is the first column, and let's move this source to the end. Maybe you like it in this way. So let's try to do the submission again. Give it a name of Mary, New York, USA. Test again. Submit. All right. As you can see here, the orders, we keep the orders, and everything is filled except this gender, because we don't have this gender column in form A. All right. So this is the first features. So advanced features. So basically, you can have different form structures. And let me show you one more thing. So what if I'd like to save these responses to another spreadsheet? So totally a different spreadsheet. So here I have, maybe I'll call it database. So what if I'd like to save the responses to this spreadsheet? And of course you can do that, but you need to do some change in our script. Okay, so let's go to the script editor. I think I should probably do okay, so I will show you how to do the change. So right now I am in the script editor, and I only need to grab the ID of this spreadsheet. Okay, I grab the ID of the spreadsheet and go to the script editor. It's loading. So here at the first line, I have a function called onFormSubmit, and I'm going to use the concatenate function here. We here have the last parameters here, as you can see, spreadsheet ID. So I only need to put the spreadsheet ID here. So if you didn't put ID here, it's going to use the default, okay, this spreadsheet for the database, or save the data, save the responses to. And what if I put ID, valid ID here? I should save the responses to the target spreadsheet. So let's copy this tab name and update the tab name here. And right now, what if I do a form submission from form A, form B? Okay, so let's try to do it here. Let's do a Ryan. That's from where? Osaka, Tokyo, Japan, male, female, male, and the note test from form B. Okay, so if I check the original and check form B, as you can see, I have Ryan here, but it's not here, as you can see. And if I check the database, as you can see, you have Ryan from Tokyo, and I got the data from the form B. Okay, you also can do this in form A. It should not bring you any issues. Let's put my name here again, just for test. Form A. So from form A is this one? Yes, I guess. Okay, now from form A. So so basically you separate the data, okay? So you can do it like this. And let's remove this ID. So there's something you need to change. Okay, so I think that's the demo. Okay, so if you think this kind of functionality you need in Google Form, you can use my script here, and you can make a copy of this project, and you should be able to use it with no issues. Okay, so let me show you the script here. Basically, I am using a library here. As you can see here, I have a library called GFC. Basically, it's called Google Form Concatenator. So I have this library here. So this library is a separate file, and I will share the ID of this library, so you can add it to your project. So basically, you just need to put the script ID here. So let me get rid of this library. So I will share you the library ID. So I get my ID, library ID, make a copy. So add library, only this ID. Okay. Look up for the library. As you can see here, so this is the identifier. Because it's too long, so I would like to change it to GFC. And right now I have 3 versions, so there might be some bugs there. So if you see some issues, I'd suggest you to choose this the left mode. I'm not sure if you can see it at your site. If you have some issues with this library, you can let me know, so I will do some update. So you basically you can choose any identifier you like. Okay, so for me I use GFC, which is short for Google Form Concatenator. So I'm going to add it, and right now you have this. You have the GFC here. As you can see here, I only need to create a onFormSubmit_ function here. Okay, so this function, this function name, we're going to use it to create a trigger. Okay, with this function name. Okay, so if you prefer a different function name, you need to pass the function name here for the trigger. As you can see here, by default, the trigger function name is onFormSubmit_, and that's why we prefer to use this name here. Okay, so maybe if you choose another name, something like another name, okay, so you need to create a trigger, and you need to put this another name here. Okay, so you need to create a trigger called another name. So let's change it back. What I mean by that is if you check the triggers here, you need to have a onFormSubmit trigger to call this function. Okay, so basically I already set it up like this, so you can do it manually, of course, no problem with that. So this is a function name, should be called. So every time there is a form submission from this spreadsheet, you're going to call this function. Okay, so that's why I renamed this onFormSubmit_. All right, we only have two functions here. Okay, this one is the trigger function. Okay, it should be called when there is a form submission, and this one is going to create the trigger. And as you can see here, I add this function to. I should remove this underscore. So basically, here I have a menu. You can create the trigger. So for the first time, when you set up the project, you need to create a trigger. Okay, you can either use this function, or you can use you can set up the trigger manually. Okay, go to this tab and you set up the trigger manually. It will be fine. It doesn't matter. So this is the whole setup you need to do in the from your project, because I added the code. I separated the code with a library, so you can use this library. And for your project, you only need a few lines of code. Okay, I want to keep things as simple as possible, so you can do some change in your project. Okay, here let me explain this a little bit. Here, for this concatenate function here, you have 4 parameters. Okay, so the first one is this on form submit event. So basically, it came from here. Okay, so and the second parameter is called sheet name. So this sheet name is basically the target sheet name. Okay, so we call it responses. So if you prefer a different name, a different tab name, you can change it here. All right. So this is the sheet name, and the source header name is basically this source. Okay, is your form source form. Okay, I basically add a header name for this column. So if you prefer a different column name, you can define it here. Source. And the last one, I think I already showed you. This is a spreadsheet ID. So basically, if you prefer to save this ID, the responses to another spreadsheet, you can put the ID of the spreadsheet here, like I did in the demo. Okay, so by default is a null. So that means you can skip these parameters, and the responses will be saved to this project. Okay, to this spreadsheet. And for this create trigger function here, you also can pass the function name. If you use a different name, different from this default function name on form submit underscore, and you need to pass the function name here. Okay, just like I did before. All right. I think that's all the setup in your project you need to do. Okay, so you need to bring this library here, and you only need to you only need one single line. If you if you can set up the trigger manually, you don't need the line from line 2 to line 9. You only need this one single line, and you create the trigger manually. It should be fine. So one single line in your project should be fine. Okay, so all the rest of the actions and all other code are in my library. All right, so I handle all of this stuff, and you can use it here with one single line in your project. Okay, so if you are interested in this library, I also going to share this project, and you should be able to find the source code on my GitHub account. Okay, I will give you a link, and you can check it out. It could be this is a very small project, and as you can see here, there is just a few lines of code. It's not over 100. It's not even over 100 line of code for this library, because the functionality is quite simple and the logic is very easy to handle. So this is just a small library. Okay, but you can take this as an example if you are trying to learn how to make your own library, and I think this could be a good example for you to get started. All right. And I think that's it for this video, and hope you can learn something from it. Enjoy the study. Okay, thank you, and bye. See you next time.